Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 4010-3-600. This is a single acting spring hinge, steel base, primed for paint. Very common little spring hinge that you're going to see in a lot of applications. This is going to be appropriate for door thicknesses from 3/4 to 1 inch thick. That's important to know. If your door is thicker than that, this is not the best hinge. This is intended for doors up to 2'8" wide and 65 pounds. That would be a 3-hinge sort of installation. Or if you've got 2-foot doors or a 45-pound door, you'd be looking at 2 spring hinges. I'm a fan of all spring hinges. We'll get into that in a moment. There is, other than that guide, there is a link below this video to a document called template, and it gives you the important dimensional properties of the hinge. Looks a little obtuse there. It's not. I suppose it's to scale. 3 inches is a reference to the leaf height. As you can see from that drawing, it's 3 15/16 overall height. Overall width is going to be 2 3/4. Judging that there on the camera. Okay. Now the 4010 is representative of what this is. It's a single acting spring hinge, this large barrel design with these 2 leaves that certainly are either mortised or surface mounted. I have seen it certainly both ways. The template shows it mortised, and that would be the typical installation. The -3 in the part number is the height of the leaf. You can do a 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch. The 7-inch, I believe, as well. The 600 means 2 things. It means that it is made of steel, and that it means that it's primed for paint. All the common finishes are available, even uncommon finishes. So your prime, black, zinc, your brasses, your bronze, your chromes, your nickels, oil rubbed, they'll do it on this hinge. Bommer, they're good about special finishes on things. Usually a lead time, always a lead time with that sort of special finish stuff, but nonetheless, it will entertain it. There is a link below this video as well to a document called Installation Instructions, and that is handy because it really just shows you how to go about setting the tension on this. And the short version of this is after you get the door and jamb mortised, you will hang your door, no problem. Attach your door such that the hinge collar, the tension collar, you notice that there's a collar here with holes. There's not one down here. Install it with the tension collar pointed towards the top. And in this scenario, we are talking about how to set the tension. You'll get, with every order, at least 1 tension rod, and you'll insert that tension rod and turn it clockwise. And as you do so, you can see that you reveal new additional holes. And it's into one of those new additional holes that you will insert the tension pin. This client's order has 2 hinges, so there are 2 tension pins. You'll insert that into one of the new holes, and now you've got tension set on the door. You'll test for proper operation. 5 holes maximum amount of tension is what they are talking about for this hinge. If you notice that you hear severe creaking in the hinge, I would definitely think that it's time for an additional spring hinge to be on the job. You don't want to destroy that spring that's in there. So set it up to 2 holes of tension, test your operation, and then act accordingly. Now, I'm a fan of all spring hinges, as I said earlier. If you think that you need you're not sure if you need 2 or 3, go with 3. And here's why. You can share the load of closing the door amongst all those spring hinges better when you have more rather than less. I'm a fan of having more spring hinges because I find that there's a more predictable and reliable sort of door operation when you've installed it that way. You don't have to set so much tension on one spring, endangering it, just to get some inertia built into the door so that it closes. It'll either limp closed or perhaps slam. You don't want that. At the very end of the closing cycle, there's very little stored energy left in here, so there's very little torque left to get the door closed without slamming. I liken the torque to a tugboat. Tugboat doesn't go very fast, but it can pull a lot of weight. And when you've got more torque working, more stored energy, and more springs, you get a more predictable and reliable sort of operation. It may not be a condition of this particular job what you're doing with a 3-inch hinge, but imagine if you had a 3070 20-minute fire rated door and you weren't getting the job done with 2 spring hinges. That being a fire door, it's got to do 2 things. It has to self-close, but it has to self-latch as well, and if your spring hinges aren't getting the door closed, then it's no longer a fire rated door. I find that you can get the door working more predictably, less maintenance of having to change the tension when you have more spring hinges as well. So the extended description, the last thing really is that you're going to get number 7 by 3/4 inch screws. Generally when it's a prime coat hinge, they're just mill option screws in terms of the finish, zinc, colored, chrome, whatever, sometimes prime coat. And the last thing I'd like to point out to you is the Bommer logo. Right above it, it says Made in USA, and that's a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. If you have any questions on the Bommer, 4010-3-600, single acting 3-inch spring hinge, or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.